And we're off.
Yeah, we're off. Yeah.
So my company is called Shedcode, and that's really enables me to work freelance and work on interesting projects. That's what I like to do.
Because you like trains.
I'm not working on any train projects at the moment, but I do like trains.
Which is why it's called Shedcode, presumably.
Which is why it's called Shedcode, yeah. And so we're going to talk about Energy Sparks, which is a project that I've been working on since 2018.
Okay.
So on the right-hand side there, you can see one of the most powerful computers in the galaxy, or artificial intelligences. I think this probably maybe even knocks Archetype out of the court, but this is ORAC from the seminal and classic 1970s science fiction program Blake 7, and which I hankered after when I was a kid. And I was working with some Raspberry Pis, and I thought, wouldn't it be great to have a case that looked a bit like ORAC for my Raspberry Pi. I couldn't find one, but I did a search on Twitter, and I found this chap called Lee Dodds, who also was thinking about this back in 2012. So I followed him.
Right, as you would.
As you would. And he works for the Open Data Institute, which, I don't know if many of you are aware of it, but it's a very interesting organisation that does lots of interesting things in promoting the use of open data. And he then tweeted saying, is any people around Bath or Bristol way who are Ruby developers interested in working on a project with them? And it was to do with schools, it was to do with energy. I did train as a teacher back in the way missed of time. I've worked for energy companies and I develop in Ruby, so...
But you don't live in Bristol or Bath?
No, but I got in touch anyway and said, hello, this sounds cool, I'd like to get involved with this. And he came back and said, well, you don't live in Bristol or Bath, but thanks for getting in touch, which is fair enough. And then a few weeks later, I was just down in the supermarket and my phone rang, and this woman was on the other end. She says, hello, I'm Claudia, I work for Energy Sparks, I'm the project manager, have you got any availability? And I said, well, yes, as it happens I do, but not in Bath or Bristol, but I do in Sheffield. And I then ended up going down to meet the rest of the team, and that's how I got that project, all through ORAC, Blake 7, Raspberry Pis, and the ones on social media.
That is how social media works.
Yeah, that's how I work at the moment. Yeah. So a little bit about Energy Sparks. So we get half-hourly meter reading data, usually from suppliers or from the local authority, or from a data store. And then we do lots of modelling, number crunching, we get temperature data, solar PV data, and all sorts of stuff. And the bit in the middle, we have an energy expert who works on the team. It's really his project, really. And he used to work in the city doing financial modelling.
Okay.
But now he's more interested in climate change, the climate emergency, and reducing carbon. And so there's a lot of stuff in the middle, which is very clever stuff that does a lot of clever things.
Right, so you've managed to find a quant that has left finance and...
Yes, I think he might have left finance with lots of money, which is why he wants to do other things. Yeah, and then with all that information data, it's Energy Sparks is a website, and the real thing for me is empowering school kids, pupils, to actually learn more about energy, about how to save money and energy, about climate change, and empowering them to do things in their school that's going to make a difference for the school.
Right.
So there's an element which is for the pupils, there's an element for the teachers, also for school management. We're giving them that information and trying to help them see ways in which they can save energy and save money for their schools. So there's activities for the kids. What you see on the left there, that's the main pupil dashboard, and you might recognise the style of illustration if you know Lisa Maltby, who's an amazing Sheffield illustrator. And there's information there for the kids about how much energy they've been using in their school and the equivalent things about trees. And there's a whole lot of different activities for the pupils and classroom plans, class plans, so that children can either motivated by themselves or with the help of a teacher, or do activities within their school and learn more about energy and then do something about it. And it works as well. So in schools you find that once the kids go around and they go around and measure all the temperatures in the different classrooms and things like that, and they badger their teachers and they badger their head teacher and say, we need to do something about this. And lo and behold, the plan is that they do something about it, and the school saves a bit of cash.
Yeah.
And you quite often, if you go, to our local school, it's winter at the moment, and the windows are open, because as soon as you get the kids in the classroom, each child basically generates like 60 watts. So old school light bulb of heat.
If they're thinking really hard.
If they're thinking it, maybe a bit more if they're thinking really hard. So you've got in effect 30, 60 watt light bulbs sat in the classroom with the heating on. Of course, it's too hot.
Right.
You don't need the heating on then.
Right.
But quite often, schools don't have enough control over what's going on.
Yeah.
So we give them lots of information. So on the right-hand side, there's a school comparison chart there, and that's showing the gas usage for the school at different times. So green's when the school's open, blue's when the school's closed, red, I'm trying to remember, red I think's weekends, holidays, and yellow's weekends, I think. So you can see there's a lot of schools that are actually using a lot of gas when the school's not even open. And sometimes they can't do anything about it because it's not in their control.
Right.
So some central councils and people control it. Sometimes they've just got a really old, timer for their thermostat and the control, which, for a couple of £100 they could replace and save a lot of money. So it's quite often it's the schools that are they maybe don't have the finances, and they don't have the knowledge, and they don't have the time to know what to do.
Yeah,
So
no one's, everyone's busy, but no one's pushing them. But if you can get the kids to push,
Get the kids pushing, then that starts to make
and
a
of course you can see the difference it makes.
Yeah, that's right. So it came about originally, obviously in Bath. The Bath Hacked isn't about hacking baths. It was in Bath. So there was a hack day with the council and Transition Bath, which is an organisation looking to transition away from carbon.
Right.
So there's transition groups all around the country. There's not one in Sheffield anymore. But there was a hack day, and that's where the original concept came from. And then they got some funding from the Community Fund, Over Energy, the ODI, and a few other people to build a bit more. And then when I got involved, they won the Non-Domestic Smart Energy Management Innovation Competition with the Departments of Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy, which was in 3 phases, and that's why they needed some developer time, because they'd got this funding to do some work. And that funding runs out in January. So in theory, in January, that'll be, my time will finish at that point, depending on what happens with other funding. But some other people have got involved since then. So we've done some user research with Paper, who are a Sheffield-based user research company, who you might have heard of or even seen sat here at some time. So we did some work with them. With Lisa, for doing bespoke illustrations. And then we've got some other councils involved now as well. So Somerset came on board, so we've got some Somerset schools. The world-famous Sheffield City Council. I think we've got about 15 Sheffield schools. 15? I think so, on Energy Sparks, approximately.
Yeah.
Oxfordshire, and the latest one's the Highlands. So we've got those sort of areas, and we're looking, obviously, to encourage other either councils or multi-academy trusts or whatever to get involved.
Yeah.
And really, it's about once you get hold of the data.
Well, I was going to say, how difficult is it to set up for a new school?
Well, that's the thing. If we can get the data easily, it's easy.
Yeah.
But part of the issue is that in terms of open data, it's sometimes very difficult to get hold of the data. Sometimes the data quality is a bit rubbish. Smart meters aren't always renowned for sending the correct information in a timely fashion. So there are always issues with data quality, but once we've got that, we've got a pipeline built up for different energy formats. So some of them come in via email, some of them we do classic FTP onto a server to get hold of them. So once we can work out a way of getting the data, then it's easy to onboard people.
Okay.
And just very quickly, here's just some examples of a few things. So the big chart there where you see the big green line, that's the base load. So that's when, for electricity in a school or at home, the electricity is used by all the things that run in the background. And there's a big drop there in the middle, which is in summer when they switched off all their freezers and things like that in the summer. And then it came back on again. And then where the little black mark is, what they realised was that it was such a massive amount of energy that the freezers were using that there was something awry somewhere. And they worked out that one of the old freezers was incredibly inefficient.
Yeah.
So they spent a few £100 on a new freezer, and then I think they're saving about £700 a year just from doing that.
That's one of those things, isn't it? Like old fridges and freezers lose the Freon gas,
Yeah.
and then the compressor has to work much harder.
Yeah.
So it's actually cheaper to replace the fridge with a new one than it is to keep it running for. And it's a big problem in poorer neighbourhoods that have older appliances. They could actually save money by getting new appliances, but of course
that's right. And the other things like the pie chart, that blue, again, that's energy being used when the school's closed.
Right.
And getting this is actually Whiteways, a Sheffield school, and the chart at the bottom, it shows their heating coming on late at night rather than coming on early in the morning. So if they change that, they'd save 30% of their gas costs.
Right.
Which is crazy, But it's just the time.
Yeah.
Empowering people to do it and getting those changes made.
That's a brilliant project. And a great story as to how it came about and what impact it's had. So I hope it does carry on. I mean, obviously your involvement may not, but the project will.
The project will carry on anyway, whether I'm there or not. And hopefully we'll see more and more schools coming on board and seeing the differences made nationally.
Nice one. Thanks very much, James.
Thank you.
James Jefferies, everyone.